So be it, Jedi.
What's going on, guys? Back in another video. The majority of the time a Hot Toys figure is announced, people are excited. People run to the comments section, run to social media, and talk about how excited they are. They critique the figure, and, sometimes that's reasonable, sometimes it's not. But for the most part, if a figure is announced and it's cool, people are all about it. But at the same time, there are those figures that are announced that are just underwhelming. They're mid, they're boring, and they leave you wondering why Hot Toys would even make it. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 10 figures that I think are just underwhelming. Now, I know this doesn't apply to everybody. Somebody out there is going to be excited about something no matter what. But for the most part, I don't hear a whole lot of people talking about these figures. We'll start this list off with Peacemaker. Now, this is an unofficial re-release / 2.0. It's really no different than the first figure, except for the fact that you get a not so good John Cena head sculpt and a few different accessories. From what I've seen, everybody loves the original figure, and I guess for those that missed out, this is good because they get, that figure and then some. But I really don't see a whole lot of people that have the original getting rid of it for this. I know there is a third-party John Cena head sculpt that honestly I think looks better than this, that a lot of people probably already have if they wanted it. So when this was announced, I was left wondering, that's strange. It's almost exactly like the first one. I think this could have been a limited figure, 3,000-4,000 units, and it would have been successful. I don't see them selling a whole lot more than that. Like I said, it's not a bad looking figure, but one that leaves you wondering why. Next up, we have Wednesday from the series on Netflix. I don't know that there's a lot of collectors that really want this. When this was announced, I seen some people saying, that's strange, why would you make that? Like I said, of course, somebody out there is excited, but I mean, the figure does look good. The likeness does look good, but me personally, I could care less about Jenna Ortega. I think she's kind of overrated as an actress, and the same could be said for Sydney Sweeney and Zendaya. That being said, the figure does look good, but I don't know that there's a whole lot of collectors that are willing to just pick this up and have, this one-off figure on their shelf. So, and I even seen something from 1/6 Kit saying that Hot Toys was going to pull a lot of their stock for this figure. They were going to cut down the production. So maybe it didn't sell a whole lot. Could it be a future grail? Could it be something people chase later on? Maybe. Who's to say? But I just don't think a lot of people are excited for this. And if I'm going to spend $300+ on a figure, there's a lot more others that would take the place of this if it come down to it. Next up, we have Poe Dameron. Now, my feelings for the sequel trilogy aside, I think a lot of people just feel this is too little too late. Had this been announced, 7-8 years ago when a lot of the sequel figures were coming out and the hype was there, it may have been a different story. But aside from those, completionists or those few sequel fans, I don't see a whole lot of people wanting this. And I mean, objectively, it does look really good. The likeness to Oscar Isaacs is pretty incredible. And it's honestly going to look better than any of your other sequel figures. But, I mean, there's a reason Hot Toys doesn't keep making sequel figures because, 80% of Star Wars fans just don't care. So it's really hard to get behind something like this when the majority of the fans that collect, honestly, probably one of your biggest sellers, that being Star Wars, just don't care. I guess I'm glad it exists for those that want it. I would never say that, something shouldn't exist because everybody deserves to get what they want. But at the same time, I'm just left wondering, is there hype around this? Do people really want this? Next up, we have Song Gi-hun from Squid Game Season 2. I'll start by saying this likeness is incredible. One of the best I've ever seen. So I'll give it the flowers there. But I watched Squid Game Season 1 a few years ago when it came out, and it was a big deal, but I never felt compelled to watch this one. And like I said, I don't know that a lot of people feel the same way or not, but it's just a guy in a tracksuit. I don't think this is very exciting. I think that unless they make more Squid Game figures, this is going to be kind of strange just being by itself. And I think, honestly, a lot of people would have rather had the Season 1 look with the longer hair. Most of these are not for me anyways. It just seems kind of boring, and it seems like, if something cooler comes out, this is going to be one that a lot of people cancel because it's probably one a lot of people can live without. Next up, we have Rain Carradine from Alien Romulus. Not a bad looking figure, but honestly, the majority of Alien fans would give this up any day of the week for another Ripley. That's essentially what, Alien Romulus tried to do, was make this the new, incarnation of Ripley. And I can't get behind it. I know that's a bias. I didn't really care for the film, but if it comes down to this or Ripley or any other legacy, sci-fi action character, I think they would choose that, 99% of the time. I just don't see the demand for it. I don't see a lot of people that really want it. And of course, I have the Xenomorph from this film on pre-order because I do think that is pretty incredible, but I just feel no desire to own this. That's just my opinion, but it just doesn't really excite me a whole lot. Next up, we have Joel Miller from The Last of Us TV show. And I think the majority of anyone that you ask that is a fan of The Last of Us would, rather have the video game version. Now, I know a third-party company is making those figures or already has, I forget. And the video games are pretty much where the fandom lies for this franchise. It's Pedro Pascal. A lot of people are feeling the Pedro Pascal fatigue. Likeness does look pretty good, but, if you want a Joel, you're not going to want this one, especially because they're not going to make an Ellie from this show because it would get laughed into oblivion, unfortunately. Next up, we have the Range Trooper, a figure they made limited and exclusive that everybody bought because it was exciting and cool. And then they turn around and spit in collector's face to make this a wide release. I know a lot of collectors just straight up sold that one because this one had, I think, different boots. The limited edition or something had different boots. So it was an objectively better figure than that of the exclusive. And this honestly just kind of shitty on Hot Toys' part to make something limited and then, 6 months or less, open it up for pre-order as a wide release. But I guess that's good for those that missed out, as, there's always a flip side to everything. But I think everybody that, wanted it got the exclusive because, exclusive troopers aren't very hard to get. And, they're probably salty and pissed off that Hot Toys did this. So not very good business practice on Hot Toys' behalf, but it does look cool. But I feel like everybody's kind of burned on it, so orders might be lower than usual. Next up, we have Wolverine from Deadpool and Wolverine, the classic brown and tan suit. One that people probably wanted a lot longer than the regular yellow and blue suit. One that I think should have been released or announced right around the same time as the yellow and blue suit. But the biggest problem with this figure is the proportions, the body. It looks very strange. He has no traps. It looks like, he's got no neck. The material of the suit does not look like it does on screen. It's supposed to be more of a fabric. This looks like, rubbery screen printed material. And it's overpriced. It was $340, and I think that's just a cash grab on them, and they're just trying to take advantage of collectors that really want it. Now, by this point, this figure is waitlisted, but there is always going to be conversions. And I think it's kind of just not as good as it could have been or should have been. It's pretty cool, but I think if you're only going to have one Wolverine, you'll probably pick the canon, movie accurate one. And for the inaccuracies and the stuff that goes along with this figure, I think it's easy to pass on. Next up, we have Daredevil from Daredevil Born Again. For the longest time, the Daredevil from the Netflix show was kind of, a hot piece. It was kind of a grail. People really wanted it. And, this objectively doesn't look like a bad figure, but I do not think it's the definitive Daredevil. Where are the double Ds? Where is, the iconic double D on the helmet or the chest of the suit? And I think a lot of people are waiting for that season 2 look that we kind of got, a little bit of leaks from with the black suit or whatever. It was announced. People were excited, but like I said, a lot of the comments and the rhetoric was, where is the chest logo? And I think we'll get that if he ever comes to, Secret Wars or whatever new Marvel projects got going on. I just don't think this is the definitive suit. So it would be a placeholder, and nobody likes to buy placeholders. And last on this list, we have Saesee Tiin from Star Wars Revenge of the Sith. Don't get me wrong. I think it's awesome to flesh out the Jedi. I think it's awesome that Hot Toys is kind of delving deep and, making figures that we thought we'd never see. Kind of feels like the Black Series where they're making background characters sometimes, but you know, what can I say? This figure does look really good. Ignore the red rocket horns coming down from the side of his head. My biggest problem with this figure is Saesee Tiin really is a nothing character. He doesn't have any arcs in Dave Filoni's Clone Wars. Of course, there is the 2D Tartakovsky Clone Wars where he does that, you know, cool scene of jumping out of the ship, puts the helmet on, but that's not included here. And I mean, of course, for those that are trying to flesh out Palpatine's arrest or whatever, I just don't think a lot of people are going to pick this up unless they're, you know, diehard Star Wars only collectors or get it on a good deal or use rewards or whatever. I think there's just other Star Wars characters, you know, Jedi characters that could have been made that have more of a background, more of a history, and they're just more, you know, in demand. Now we do have Plo Koon and Kit Fisto, which is already released. Plo Koon's still on pre-order, but Plo Koon actually does stuff in Star Wars, in the Clone Wars, so I can see why people would want that. This to me is just, it's cool, but it's not something I would ever spend money on. I think, you know, there's probably a few people that feel the same way. All right, guys, that wraps up this list. Let me know if any of these figures I'm wrong about, if any of these figures, you know, you think are really awesome and you're super excited for. But I think for the most part, I mean, even like, you know, from my perspective of someone who doesn't collect a whole lot of anything but Star Wars, there's not a whole lot of hype around any of these figures. Or if there is, there's controversy along with it. Anyway, let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, see you in the next one.
I'm sorry, sir. It's time for you to leave.